Ooh, it's Neptune. Well, it's not Neptune, but it looks nice. Looks cute. Look. Isn't it nice? Planet Neptune. I tried to find something nice, but this is all I got. So Neptune is about fantasy. Everything that's pretty, everything that is cute, everything that's like the dogs in my background, everything that has to do with letting go, everything that has to do with dissolving boundaries. So Neptune in the natal chart. My name is Georges Verbena, and I'll be talking about Neptune in astrology. Neptune is a planet of fantasy. Now, as you know, I've made a video about Saturn and Mars before. And when I talk about the planet, I don't just talk about the traditional meaning, but how the psychology of it is integrated into your life. So how do you work with Neptune to your advantage? Well, to work with Neptune is to work with your ability to let go in a functional way. So if you watch a movie and you want to appreciate the movie, like you know that the people in the movie aren't real, but in order to appreciate and enjoy the movie, you have to dispense, you have to let go of the fact that it's not real. Otherwise, there's no way to feel the movie. So your ability to feel and tune in is dependent on your ability to dispense reality. Yes, because it is very body focused, Neptune. It's a water element planet, and it's the higher octave not only of Venus, which rules money, pleasure, sex, materialism, all body oriented, but it's also the higher octave of the moon, which also is your conditioning, your family roots. But Neptune rules everything that is invisible while still being part of the physical realm. Invisible in terms of you feel it, but you don't know that the feeling that you're feeling, is it something real or not? Is it just your imagination? Because most of the time, when you're watching a movie and you're crying to tears because of this character playing so good, yeah, it's just your imagination. And your imagination allows you to feel the tears because you can imagine what it's like for this to be real, which you see. So that's the irony of his planet. Even though it deals with everything fantasy, you can't appreciate reality without fantasy, without imagination. If you don't have imagination, then all of this is meaningless. None of this has any meaning to you if you don't feel a connection. Neptune is like gets the divine juices flowing. It's like this. You see how it reflects the light? It's like sparkly sparkles. This is Neptune. It's the sparkles inside of you. If it wasn't sparkly, then what would be the point of any of this? So crystals also ruled by Neptune. The ability to appreciate beauty in all of its forms, right? It's still physical form. But how you appreciate it, why do you appreciate it, depends on your imagination. So if you can't imagine this to have any meaning, then there's no appreciation. So if you look at this is sphere, and it's not fake. Even though Neptune deals with things that are fake, this circle that you see, it's real. It's natural, actually. And here you're on the other side, you see. So this is a natural production of nature, this crystal. Well, not entirely, because you can't find spheres in nature, but the rest of the crystal is real. And if you can appreciate this form, assign meaning to the fact that there's a circle here, that's Neptune. Neptune is the function to find meaning in that which intellectually, rationally, logically doesn't appear to have any meaning at first sight. First sight meaning visualization. So that's why I make this video a little bit more visual, starting up with showing my crystals, because you need to look at something in order to activate your imagination. The moment you look at something, you look at a movie, right? That's all you do. All you do is look at the screen. When you play a game, when you watch a streamer, when you watch this video, when you listen into an audio recording of a story, everything, the only reason why you pay attention, because you filter it through a variety of filters. One of those filters is Neptune. Neptune is your feeling filter. So my previous video was about Saturn. Saturn is a logic filter. Rational, boundaries, boring and restrictive, but you need it to survive. Now Neptune, you don't really need to survive, technically. But if you don't have it, if your Neptune is not functioning, when you don't have imagination, then you can't be artistic. And without imagination, how can you make a microphone? How can you make technology? How can you make this? How can you make this with the TV behind me? You have to have some imagination at some point. So it is through this imagination that we also create technology. Mostly we see it in the use of games, art, movies. So when you watch Star Wars from George Lucas, all of that is Neptune. It's completely Neptune ruled. Without Neptune, there would be no Star Wars. Yeah? Because it's the essence of why we're even watching Star Wars in the first place. I mean, you're not getting anything from watching that, so why are you watching it? Why would you watch Star Wars? You're not getting any money, you're not getting paid for it. Saturn. But you still enjoy it. So that's why Neptune is important. Now, if you have Neptune in the natal horoscope, this is where you find bliss and ecstasy in your life, through this. And this is where you let go in order to dissolve boundaries, in order to heighten your sensitivity. Because Neptune is psychic intuition, which is beyond the rational mind, beyond the ego, beyond the self. Because Neptune was discovered only recently because you can't see it with your eyes in the sky. It's not visible. You have to use a certain technology to even find it. So it's slippery, it's sneaky. It's somewhere where you can't even access it. So this is also pointing at the natal chart into something that normally you can't access it, but because you have Neptune there, you can. You're so sensitive where Neptune is. You have access to that now more than normal. Paranormal activity, demonic entities, looking into the astral, feeling the divine sparks inside of you when you're watching something, and you can feel, yes, this is it. Right? If you have an artist on stage acting for a movie, acting in a theater, and you play the role that you're assigned to, it's through Neptune that you forget who you are. You forget your ego, You're completely taken in the ocean of imagination to play this role. So that's why Neptune deals with shape-shifting, chameleons. People who have a very strong Neptune, a lot of Neptune in their chart, a lot of Pisces, 12th house, these are shapeshifters. They can adapt to their environment. They are hypersensitive, so they can receive things very easily. Because these people who are Neptunians, they're boundary deconstructors. They're ego dissolvers. They bring something to the table which allows us to forget who we are, to forget what we are doing, and to ignore, to let go, to surrender, to fall asleep. That's why also Neptune rules sleep, dreams. Falling asleep, you forget the physical world. You forget that any of this exists. If you don't forget, then you are conscious. If you are conscious, you're not dealing with Neptune. So that's another one of those ironies of this planet. Even though we can be conscious of a planet in our imagination, it's an unconscious process. So you can't integrate Neptune without integrating the unconscious into your conscious life. The more you integrate the unconscious, the better your sleep is going to be, the better you're going to dream, the better your psychic visions are going to be, the better you will be at reading symbols, the better you will be at identifying what things mean without knowing about them, anything. So, because everything that you know, your DNA, which comprises your physical body, the crystalline structure of your being, is Neptune ruled, is subconscious ruled. The physical structure that you see, the crystallization, the end product, is Saturn. But before the product comes into manifestation, before that, when it's just in the gestation period, just in the primordial juices, where it's shape-shifting, changing, transforming and transmutating, that is Neptune. So your ability to bring forth something new, something different, something strange, but it is not your ability to put it into practice. So Neptune is all imagination, no practice. It's all dreams, but no action. It's all video cutting, but no video, I don't know. Well, actually it's everything about the video is Neptune, actually, I guess. Well, the Neptune thing is very easy to identify. Dissolve boundaries, forget who you are. And what we are doing this for? To suspend the rational mind, to suspend Mercury for a bit, suspend Saturn for a bit, to allow ourselves to gain access to a different consciousness, where different information is found that we cannot see, we cannot touch, but we have access to it nonetheless. So this is why it rules psychic senses, right? It's your ability to understand symbolism. You can't read about symbols, you just know symbols. Of course you can read about them, but generally speaking, there's a feeling associated with looking at something. So if you look at a deity, at a god or a goddess, in other words, if you look at something like this, what is the archetype of this? Do you know? The first time you look at this, You know from looking at this what this is and what this means. I don't have to tell you, but for the sake of teaching, I will tell you. So, Neptune looks at this, and Neptune says, this is a sad dog, which is like a puppy in need of rescuing. It's a victim. Okay? It's a victim, and it's a sign of cancer. Obviously. I mean, because cancer, this is what a cancer looks like. And it's also a bit of Pisces, right? It's a bit Neptune, this whole thing. I mean, when I'm talking about Neptune, isn't it it? Because it's very watery. And it wants to be saved. It's a baby. So a baby is very dependent on its mother. A baby doesn't have an ego yet that is structured, formed, and stable. So it's completely dependent on its environment. It's completely helpless. So even though I'm telling you all of this now, you know the moment you see this dog that what I just told you is what it is. And the only reason you know all of this is because of Neptune. Because Neptune gives you insight into the symbol, into the visualization, into art, what it means, because it communicates. This is a communication device. This communicates, I'm a victim, please save me, I'm helpless. That's what it communicates. And you know this without exchanging a single word, just by looking at it. So Neptune is also telepathy, instant communication. You know instantly what it means. But because there's no words, there's no proof for what you're feeling and what you're intuiting, then it can be confusing, disturbing, vague, unclear. So that's why we talk about the shadow of Neptune next. The shadow of Neptune is uncertainty. That we don't know what we're dealing with. There's no proof, so what do? We remain in the fog, in the mist. When it rains, the mist appears, everything's heavy and dense. It feels kind of ominous, and we can't really make head or tails of it. But we still know vaguely what it is. But can we trust it? Because Neptune is not about stability or trust. It's dissolving. Dissolving is all it does. So you'll never get stability and certainty with Neptune. So in order to integrate Neptune, you'll have to get comfortable with uncertainty. If you're not comfortable with uncertainty, you can't be psychic and successful. Because to be psychic is you're dealing with uncertainties all the time. There's no psychic that is knowing 100% what they're doing. If you rely on everything to be 100%, then you're screwed. Then you can't let go. Then you are indeed dealing with a weak Neptune. Ah, thank you. You liked the Saturn video? Yes. I'm glad you liked it. So now we have Neptune, which is complete opposite of Saturn, right? If Saturn is all about reality, making boundaries with reality, Neptune is about taking those away. How can you have a strong Saturn, this strong boundary, and a strong Neptune at the same time? Well, you can, because let's give an example. So I have tarot cards. tarot cards, another Neptune ruled thing. Yeah? I have a lot of Neptune ruled things in my house. Guess why? Because I'm a 12th houser. I have a stellium in the 12th house. And I'm an astrologer, and I have tarot cards, I have crystals, I have fucking plush animals. I mean, and now the cards fell out of my hands. That is Neptune, in a nutshell. Like accidents as well. What did I want to tell you? So now I even forgot what I wanted to tell you. More Neptune. Okay, now I need to calm down. Yeah? Bit of Saturn. So Neptune, cards. And the reason why I pulled the cards, how do you pick cards? So I shuffle. Yeah, I shuffle. And then I pick. Why did I pick this card? Which is Knight of Cups, which is about somebody who's letting go into his psychic ability, who's using his psychic ability very confidently. How did I pick this card? I don't know. I just picked it. Well, I actually do know. Because I'm a Zomatic facilitator as well, so I have to work with Neptune in my trauma work. And how do you work with Neptune there? You feel what the body is communicating to you. You give it a connection with a felt sense and focusing. So I pick a card when I feel a yes. Yeah? When I feel a yes, I shuffle. And when I just feel a yes, and then I pick the card. I don't get a message. No Mercury, no messenger of the gods. I don't get a single Saturn showing me in my face. I don't get a Jupiter screaming at me. I get nothing. Except a subtle feeling. Yes. Pick now. Nobody is telling me anything. But this is what I have to rely on. If I can't rely on the subtleties, then my Neptune is not working. And now I have to pick up these cards that fell down because I'm talking about Neptune. Okay. Alright. Structure yet adaptability. 12th house gives such gifts of thinking outside the collective. Yes. Well. Yeah, it is outside of the box. Yeah. Good point. So when we think about Neptune, we have to talk about the 12th house, right? Because the 12th house is ruled by Neptune, which is primarily my house. And because most of my planets are there. This house is very mystifying because often the person doesn't even know what they are about because they're changing all the time. They're always shape-shifting. You don't know what they're going to come up with next. There's no fixedness to it. It's a mutable planet, mutable house. And these people, they think outside of the box because we leave the collective. It's the last house. But we're not really leaving the collective, actually. We're leaving the conscious of the collective. So the 11th house is the collective consciousness. Now we're leaving that behind, going into the collective unconsciousness. So this is Carl Jung's world of archetypes and avatars. So this is what we're dealing with, right? Avatars, like the Knight of Cups. Avatars like the Hierophant to also be an avatar, which is the avatar of the priest, somebody who preaches all the time, which is also kind of me. I have Jupiter and Sagittarius, so that would be a preacher, Hierophant. Also, the Hierophant is my birthday card, because I'm born on 5th of July, because it's ruled by a Hierophant, this birthday. So there's dates, places where you're born in. Yeah? Your day, like I'm born on a Wednesday, which is ruled by Mercury. If you're born on a different day, like Sunday, ruled by the Sun. Neptune connects these things. Because you're born on that day, it gives you a subtle influence, increasing the influence of that planet, that archetype, that avatar on your life. So you shapeshift, you express that thing, and Neptune is the channel from where it is coming from. It's coming from somewhere far away. You don't know how. How is it happening? Why am I doing all of this? Why am I doing astrology? Why am I talking about this? How did I get here? How did I even get born? Neptune is part of that portal, which brings all these archetypes into manifestation for the world of dreams. So if you have a good Neptune, it means you can read archetypes very well. So if you look at me, if you look at somebody, anybody, like I use the example with a dog, that means you can read the archetype well. Like you know from looking at them vaguely, because that's all you have, vague, Neptune, what they are. You know vaguely what they are. And if you're very good with that, if you're intuitive, that means that your vague first intuition, first impression is usually correct. How do you find out it's correct? Later down the line. Because Neptune doesn't deal with proof, there's no proof there. You feel something and then you'll use your Mercury and Saturn to confirm it. So let's say it makes good investigators, Neptune. Pisces, they are also very good businessmen and women, good crime investigators, good judges of character. Because that first impression that they get is giving that a huge amount of information, and then all they need to do is to find proof to confirm the initial observation. That's all they need to do. So it really makes work very easy. Neptunians have a very easy job. If you don't use that first impression to guide you to the information that confirms or contradicts that impression, then your Neptune is weak. Or rather not integrated. Yeah. So when I say Neptune is weak, it means you're not using it. Because a lot of people, they deal with shame and guilt collectively, which represses the Neptune. Yes, most of the top game designers in the world have 12th house moons. Gives the ability to create complete alternate realities. Yes, so to access a reality which is different from this one is to have a good Neptune. So this is why it's dealing with things outside of a box. This is why it allows you to change in situations where everybody is expecting you to fail. So where Mercury ruled people and Saturn ruled people would look at the situation and think, there's no hope for this situation. We can't do anything there, just forget about it, let it go. The Neptune person comes and says, wait a second, I have an idea. And then they bring a solution that the other people couldn't think of, because they're dealing with boxes. Mercury and Saturn, they're in box thinking, so they're not going to bring the genius inventions. So that's why Albert Einstein was a Pisces. Yes, Albert Einstein was a Pisces, so he was a Neptunian. So all of this is the very good stuff about Neptune, and What about the shadow side in the horoscope? The shadow of it is, because Neptune deals with everything big and nothing clear, you can't trust, or rather, you can't rely on Neptune. It's the least reliable of the planets. So if you have Neptune on an angle in a synastry, so let's say somebody has their Neptune on your ascendant, or on your midheaven, or on your moon, on your sun, you can't rely on that person to give you consistently what they're giving you at first. So that first impression is going to be perfect with Neptune. Neptune is known for idealized self. It's like in narcissism, the idealization stage, the love bombing stage. Unfortunately, that is the shadow side of Neptune, which you often see in horoscope readings and synastry readings. So if your partner has Neptune strong aspects in your chart, you can count on it 100%. That's the only thing you can rely on. That is not reliable. That probably you're going to have some kind of disappointments with this person, some kind of disillusionment, because what you see with Neptune is not what you get. Neptune not only rules deception, but also rules car salesmen, people who sell stuff through shady businesses, scammers, con artists, but also gurus, because it deals with spirituality. It deals with a kind of spirituality where you cannot confirm whether it's true or not, so you can't hold the guru accountable because you can't disprove his theses. So Neptune is also about stuff where no matter what you do, you can't prove it wrong or right, so you're left with a confusion. This is all that you can have. So this is all you have in that relationship with a Neptune conjunction. You will never completely clear that up unless you have Saturn there or Mercury to balance it out, to ground it. It's not going to happen. And this is why Neptune is about letting go in life. Because there's going to be areas, things in life that you have no control over. There's things in life where your ego has no access, has no stability, no proof. So when I work with my tarot cards, I have no way to prove that the tarot cards work. I can make some studies, conduct some experiments to statistically prove that my predictions are correct. Yeah, it's okay, I can do that. But I can't prove with certainty that my intuition is always going to be on point. Because sometimes I could pick a card and it could just be completely random. Like I could just pick the wrong card. And what do I do then? Because if I do a reading for somebody and I rely on the fact that what I pull gives me the correct information, it's not good. But if you work with tarot cards, you have no choice. If you choose to work with this, you have to let go. Otherwise, forget it. It's not going to work for you. Yeah? But the same thing happens in when you're acting on stage. You have to let go of the role that you play. You can't be yourself when you act, right? You can't be yourself. No ego. Of course, there's ego, but there's always ego, but it's not going to be in what you're doing. It's not going to be involved. Ego will not be involved in my tarot cards, except in my reading. When I pull, there's no ego. Because the ego cannot control what I'm going to pull. It's no way. It's not possible. So, look, perfect card I just pulled. 10 of Swords. you have to let go of the swords in your back. You have to let go of Saturn and Mercury, which is source energy, logic, rationality, in order to access the Neptune. You have to be like this guy on the ground. That's why we live in a Saturn-ruled world. People don't like Neptune. It's like people are allergic to it. It's like when you bring the Neptune, people think you're crazy. You're insane. What do you mean? You pull cards and you trust what it's telling you without any proof? You're crazy. Actually, it's just Neptune. It's a part of our reality to deal with that which is not certain, which cannot be proven. But because of the brainwashing that we're dealing with an anti-Neptunian society. So that's why Pisceans, Neptunians have it very, very difficult here. And you know why the 12th house, ruled by Neptune, is not only the house of endings, but also the house of isolation. Because if you are Neptunian in a Saturnian society, of course you're going to be isolated. Of course you're going to be alone. Of course you're going to be misunderstood. And of course nobody is going to really respect you except those who have managed to get outside of the box, outside of the Saturn, to integrate the Neptune. So that is why it's one of the contracts that when you come into this realm, you accept the fact that everything Neptune is going to be discarded and disowned and opposed by the collective. And I think that is why we think about Neptune and Uranus in the same boat. Uranus and Neptune are both the planets which are very hidden, so far away that we can't see them in the night sky. But both of them are outside of the box thinking. Both of them are 11th house and 12th house, the last houses, which are about the collective, and they are about rebellion, right? If it's going outside of the box, 11th house everybody knows is ruled by Uranus, and everybody knows about sudden shocks, revelations, inventions, progression, revolution. But Neptune is also about revolution. But it's a different kind of revolution. The kind of revolution that goes unnoticed, that goes underground. How did Einstein invent the atom bomb? Did he do it by being just so smart and being able to find the formulas to calculate them correctly? Or was it his imagination? His ability to visualize something that not yet exists physically, but the vision in his head is so clear, so strong. The psychic channeling of that which is not yet manifest is so strong that he was able to manifest it, even though it did not yet exist. Yeah? He invented the atom bomb as a Piscean, which is what people don't expect. Who expects a crazy person, a psychotic person, a delusional, psychic, crazy visionary to create a bomb which could kill the entire human population? Yeah, of course nobody would. So it's very unexpected. That's why Neptunians are extremely underestimated. People underestimate 12th houses and Neptunians all the time because they keep to themselves. Because the Neptunian knows, the 12th houser, if I tell them what I see, they're not going to believe me, they're not going to understand. They'll ask me, but how do you know this? How do you come to this conclusion? But the reality is, you don't know how you came to that conclusion. And then you tell them, well, I don't know, I just know this thing. And they look at you like, you're crazy. Well, great. So yeah, people think you are stupid, psychotic, underestimating to the maximum. Really, to underestimate Neptunians is not a good idea, because they will surprise you. They will pull out something out of a magic hat, right? It's like the wizard on the stage. It's all about surprises with a wizard. If you didn't get surprised, you wouldn't come for the show. So you want to be surprised. You want to see something that you don't understand, that is beyond what you know, beyond the self, beyond the ego, beyond reality. Because Saturn and Mercury, as important as they are really quite boring. I mean, who the fuck cares about structure and stability and money and finances? The fuck? I didn't incarnate for this shit. I didn't incarnate to be a fucking slave. I incarnated from where? Where I come from is where I want to go back to. And that is exactly which Neptunians bring here. So you can have some fun. So you can watch those movies on the screen. So you can play those video games. Thanks to those Neptunians. Yeah. What body parts does Neptune rule? Well, it rules the lymphatic system, because it rules water in the body, but the water which is hidden, which encases, which encompasses and filters the waste. So pus. Yes, Neptune rules pus. So pus, because when pus encompasses a toxin, the toxin is swallowed into that pus and it disappears. You can't see it anymore, like a drop in the ocean. And then you eliminate it. And that's why also Neptune rules the feet, because you eliminate a lot of waste through movement. And how do you move? Well, the first thing you use to move is your feet. And the lymphatic system, they say it doesn't have a pump. So it's very in suspension, sleeping, in stasis, inactive. But the moment you move, then the juices get moving as well. So all of that is Neptune. And when you work with people who have a strong Neptune, they may have a lot of pus discharge, like a lot of because the way the Neptunian body works, it holds water. It's water retention. So swelling, having big fatty tissues, because it co-rules with the moon, the womb, and the hips, the curves of a woman, which also co-rules with Venus. Everything that makes a woman pretty, everything that makes us curvy, makes us fat, because fat, most of it is pus. It really is pus. So of course, Neptune and Moon rules body fat. So you can also see with Neptunians, they gain weight very, very easily. So we have to watch out, because they need the opposite. They need Virgo, they need Mercury, they need the structure and routine and diet regulation to balance it out. Because Neptune is about losing control, falling asleep. And if you fall asleep too much, then the pus accumulates, the fog, and you get heavy in the head, get stagnant, circulation doesn't move. So all of this is something to consider if you're going into health diagnosis for medical astrology. Now in psychology and trauma, Neptune deals with that which we forget, dissociation, malignant detachment. So if a client is very dissociative, look at how they work with their Neptune. What house is Neptune in? What aspects do they have? Do they have any squares? Neptune also in synastry. Do they attract Neptunian partners? Yeah, partners who dissociate a lot. People who don't live in reality because reality is too threatening. So we go into fantasy. So that's why also narcissism is a very important aspect of Neptune in shadow psychology. Borderline disorders, codependency, enmeshment trauma. When people have no boundaries, they get dependent on other people's feedback, they feed on it. They become vampirically connected and attached to the energy, to the waters of other people, because their own waters are so dissociated from their own waters, their own ability to feel, that they need other people. So you have to watch out for all of these Neptune impacts in psychology. There's also deception, disillusionment, idealization, love bombing. There's also people who think they're psychic, people who don't read situations well, but they are actually not psychic. But they can appear as such, so they can make very convincing lies because their fantasy world is in Neptune. Neptune is not a fantasy which is obvious and clear. Like I said, Neptune is that which we cannot prove or disprove. So you may not be able to know for certain if a person you're dealing with is delusional or not. This is actually a red flag, an indicator that you're dealing with a shadow side of Neptune in any given situation as well. Because if you can't be clear about another person, they're probably disordered in some way. You're supposed to get clear about them. Even if you're dealing with a Neptunian person, like an Einstein, a Pisces, a 12th houser, they're still going to show you something and you're going to be able to read it somehow. But if you can't make heads or tails at all, it's not good. It's the shadow side of Neptune. Yes, so it's very important to differentiate. When you're not knowing what's going on, like I said, don't trust it because it's unreliable. Yeah, Neptune is unreliable. So people also who forget things all the time, who misplace things are chaotic around them. They can't seem to create any stability in their life. They're always going from one job to the next. Also, a lot of travel is associated with Neptune. Looking at far away countries, far away places, because fantasy is a far away experience, visions of far away planet Neptune, hidden. Also sneakiness, theft, stealing, also Neptune thing. Because if you're stealing, you have to pretend that you're not stealing. So you have to put on a good show, you have to act. So other people don't see you as you really are. Don't see you as you really are. As really the bottom line. What else? Mental asylums, psychoticism, but also charity, malignant selflessness. So people who are a little bit too charitable, a little bit too compassionate, a little bit going too much by what they feel, not balancing it with Saturn or Mercury. Somebody who gets carried away by the compassion is also shadow side of Neptune. Because Neptune is the planet of compassion, essentially. It's empathy, but empathy is a fantasy experience. If you empathize with somebody, you may think that you're feeling how they feel. But no, you're not. It's entirely an internal mechanism. You are imagining that this is how they must feel. You extrapolate and you confabulate. You put the pieces together, and that's how you empathize. Just how when you're watching a movie. Why do you cry tears for a movie when you know it's not real? Because you empathize. The same thing happens in real life. So, can be too much. But there's also people who don't have any empathy. If you don't have any empathy, it's because you can't let go of your defense against the other. So somebody who has rigid boundaries, who's completely encased like a narcissist, cannot empathize with the other person. So while that narcissist is completely stuck in his own Neptune, in his own fantasy, he has no access to other people and how they feel. Yeah. So these are just examples. That's basically Neptune in a nutshell. But to sum it up at the end, if you have a healthy Neptune, you can empathize while knowing it's not real. You can see somebody and feel something, first impression, and you use that information to judge them accurately through that first impression. Healthy Neptune. If you can see the archetypes, if you can see what is hidden under the surface, if you can use tarot cards, if you can use astrology, if you can use divination tools, if you can look into the future, if your dreams are very vivid, if you can sleep very well, if you can watch a movie and you're really enjoying it and you're feeling with the characters, if you have all of this, great, then it's a healthy Neptune. But if you can't put yourself into another person's shoes, if you can't go beyond your ego, beyond yourself, your own experience, in other words, if you can't access reality outside of you, ironically, even though planet of delusion, Neptune, yes, it's actually your ability to access reality which is outside of your Saturn, outside of your Mercury, outside of your ego rationality. If you can't access that which is beyond the rational, then your Neptune is not functioning properly and you need to integrate that somehow. So I hope you liked this video. You found it informative, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.